Good day, everyone. This is now the second part of Strategic Management Philosophies. So before watching or listening to this video, make sure that you have already listened or watched the prior installment, which is Strategic Management Philosophies Part 1. And now let's continue. This is still the same source, that is Agamata's book of Management Advisory Services. Next up is Activity-Based Management. This talks about the application of the activity-based costing, which has been driven by the activity-based management model. So what do we mean really by activity-based management? That means that we are going to manage the activities. And if we say manage, we have to make sure that they have been properly planned, organized, they have been staffed with respect to the respective employees, they have been led or directed and controlled properly. And then the bottom line is on the respective drivers of costs. So in activity-based management and costing, basically for each cost, especially for the factory overhead components or items, each item is triggered by a specific activity driver that is based on a certain activities managed under the ABM system. So each activity can trigger a certain cost to be incurred, unlike with traditional costing, wherein for all factory overhead costs, one driver is applied, which are the traditional drivers like machine hours, direct labor costs, and etc. But in activity-based costing, it's going to be all activities, which are many or plenty. That's why ABM or the ABC activity-based costing is going to be costly on the part of the company. However, in the long run, it's going to, of course, lower the costs as said in the summary, traditional versus strategic management. ABM is under strategic management. So in this case, in activity-based management, we focus also on the value added activities so that we would know that which activities are really adding something that is the value to the company. And we have to improve our profitability then in the process, because by then we would be able to really sort out which particular costs are to be used in our costing. All right. Now, in the ABM process, what we do first is to identify these activities which are value added, by which customers are willing to pay for it. Non-value added, for sure, it is not something that customers are willing for. In terms of the time, though, process, inspection, wait, and move, as said, process is the value added time or value added component. But as we go along the way, we would know that the value added should be there and the non-value added activities should be eliminated or reduced to their possible minimum exposure and cost. So they should be as much as possible reduced to all levels possible and minimized if that is even possible. So identifying the activities that would trigger the cost. Next is what are these drivers? So for each activity, there would be driver of that. So let's say that the activity is, for example, production. So in production, what could be the drivers there? So what could be the respective items that would be used? For example, we have the electricity, that's the cost. What drives the cost could be the kilowatt hour. So these are the activities that trigger or drive the incurrence or non-incurrence of cost. So electricity, kilowatt hours, water would be cubic meters, and etc. So in other words, these are the units of the cost if you say the drivers. And okay, I'm scrolling down. So these are the examples of the cost drivers that I'm pretty sure you can check out. Example, design and testing. For sure, this will involve labor or manpower. So that's going to be based on the design hours and testing hours. Can you just imagine like before, whatever the total factory overhead, we just have to divide that with the direct labor hours without thinking that, oh, the components of the total factory overhead basically have different activities that would trigger them and the cost drivers or the units of the cost. So that's why there is really a need to do that. All right, so if it is now the unit level, that's the time that we can make use of units of materials or direct labor hours. So we can see here the different levels of the company, starting from production or organization, the product or process, the batch, and the unit. So PPBU, that's the acronym. After that, we have to set the operational control in environment. So all the managers should have clear understanding of the activities they handle, then where the costs are incurred and for what purpose. So that's very important. Why the costs are incurred, where are they for, and what's the reason why we are incurring them. The fourth one is the evaluation platform. So we have to assess as to how they use their authorities, do their assignments, deliver results, and perform their duties. The managers are being said here in accordance with the overall goal of enhancing shareholders' value. This is the ultimate point of the managers, that anything that they do should add value and should accumulate wealth for the shareholders. Then activity evaluation emphasis could be on volume and on time. So number of units produced or services, what time, of course, is clearly like how fast or quick a response is made, so that overall we will be able to satisfy the customer. So number of units, for example, produced quickly, and this is in terms of time, how fast it is. So that's why in volume, we discussed a while ago the manufacturing velocity, what the time, the manufacturing cycle efficiency. That's with respect to time a while ago. So this is like the formula is process time over throughput time. If you can recall, throughput time is the sum of the process time plus wait plus move plus, what is that? Inspection, yeah, inspection time. So that's the lacking item. Manufacturing velocity is simply the number of units to be produced or targeted divided by the rate of production, like per day. With respect to time, of course, that's for the volume. Next, quality is, these are the items for activity evaluation: volume, time. The quality, this is with respect to the customer's perceptions and wants. Okay, so sometimes this can be objective, sometimes this can be, subjective, right? Because, yeah, qualitative, I was about to say qualitative, because if this is subjective, so it's qualitative. At the same time, also, the quality is objective, but then normally if it is objective, it is quantitative because numbers can easily be checked upon. So if it is subjective, meaning opinionated, so customers would be saying that I like this one, I like the features. So that's why it's going to be challenging to do that. But this is the level by which customers' orders, wants, and needs are satisfied by receiving repeat orders or initiating orders from new customers. So they would really demand that we want those products. So number of our percentage in terms of customer complaints, late deliveries, sales returns, etc. Repeat orders, hopefully that's the plus, and the new orders, not the previous ones. Cost will be in terms of financial measures. So the rate per setup, per unit, per part, per hour, etc. And fifth is culture for continuous improvements or kaizen. So we want that anything that we do should add value to the company, should improve continuously and sustainably, and maximize shareholders' wealth. What are the other issues? We have benchmarking, wherein standards are set so that we will be able to know if what we are doing is based or is able to achieve that. And that is the level of the highest performance, known as best in class practices. Re-engineering is basically we want to improve our process. We want that we will be effective and efficient by shortening the business cycle time, then meeting customer orders and specifications and customers' value. For profitability analysis is we want to check how profitable are we in terms of customers. Then pricing also is very important because for some customers, you would be costing differently as to the others. And strategic or long-term pricing is important, which can change in any time soon. Product mix is also important because some products or goods or services will be saleable or can be saleable more than the others. Also, we have the challenges, fitness. So how organization perceives quality, how ready they can accept and adjust to change or new way of doing things. Although resistance is there, but it should not be sustaining along the way. Benefit over costs. We must make sure that benefit exceeds the cost all the time. So we have here the customer order processing activity. So activities and identified activity drivers. The highlighted ones, which is not clear here, supposedly are considered the non-value added activities. So the non-value added activities again would be, in addition to the weight, it would be also the inspection and move time. Unfortunately, we cannot see them, but we focus with the value added. And here are the activity drivers. So activities, let's say salaries, the supposedly drivers for this one would be the number of hours consumed. So that's why we have the rate, 10,000 per direct labor hour. Then required is comparative tabulation of costs under or using traditional and activity-based. So let's see. Then the new cost per activity driver and the new product cost per unit after the non-value added activities are eliminated. So we have here traditional versus ABC. For traditional, so these are the given items. Then what about for ABC analysis? Okay, 5 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we also have the hours here. Preparation of quotations, receipt of customer orders. So basically, they are identified based on the activities there above. So preparation of quotations, then so number of orders, then receipt, yeah, that's receipt of customer orders, assessment of customer credit worthiness, number of telephone calls, and etc. Or I think this is being changed depending on the given items. So these items here are coming from this side. So preparation of quotation is not really that clear. So sorry for the bootleg quality, but these are the activities that we can just copy. And then if we total everything, it should total 38,750. So the same, right? For salary, so there. But if preparation of quotations, it's there. It's per activity. So by then we will be able, like we would be able to see which activity would be the better, or let's say the more performing ones, or let's say the more effective and most effective ones. Because for every activity, there are components of salary, stationery, travel, telephone, and equipment depreciation. And like with all salaries are grouped, stationery are grouped, and so on. Okay, so that's why later on for this, the respective amounts are allocated now based on the respective number of activities. So direct labor hours, for example, that's point 0.2, point 0.2, point 0.3, and so on. But then the non-value added activities are eliminated. So probably these two here, these two are not part because they are eliminated. And also here are the activities above. All right, so Good thing that it's there. That's a good thing that it's there. So basically, we're just allocating them in accordance to the costs given. And then the non-value added activities are eliminated and we are able to get the total here. And we use that as basis for our allocation. All right. So that's how we did that. And you can also see here the table